Melo melo con melon, meloncollieflaur です。Hello everyone, I'm meloncollieflaur, and you know what today is? It's Watermelon Wednesday, SUIKA 水曜日だよ. We've made it to the middle of the week once again, just a few more days until the weekend. So be it school or work or whatever projects you're working on, keep doing well. You got this. I believe in you. おはようございます。こんにちは。こんばんは。私はメロンコリーフラワーです。今日の配信はスイカゲームだよ。あ、ハロー。おはようございます。お元気ですか？ひひ。I'm sorry for starting so late. Hi Melon, it's Watermelon Wednesday. It is. Hello Bob, welcome, nice to see you. On Melon. I'm starting kind of late today. I think I jinxed myself. Also, actually, let me make myself a little smaller. That makes more sense. Okay. When you switch, when you switch forms, you have to remember. Sometimes. Sorry. But yeah, I've definitely been waking up in a weird way lately. And I don't think it's because of time change. This was happening before that. For anyone who doesn't know, across the seas, there are many different excuse me, there are many different countries that end up changing time throughout the year. I think twice a year. And our time went back an hour, so it's no longer EDT for me, it's EST. And I really hope that we don't really have to do a time change anymore. ちょっと待って。 Some of this I can read, some of this I can't read. Let me take a look. Is that how that works? I thought it was always ESTR year-round. Well, there's what's called daylight savings time. So like, that's when the hour goes forward, I think. Where you lose out on an hour of sleep, I believe. Let me see. Where is... oh. Kyomo 涼しく動きやすく元気です。The temperature is cool, making it easy to move around and feel energetic. Oh, that's interesting. 面白いな。面白いメロン。Because for me, usually if I am cold, I don't move very well. But I understand if it's too hot to move around as well. But that's nice to hear. I'm glad. よかった。Oh, that's right. And since the time did change for me, this means that Japan is 14 hours ahead of me. So that means it is, I think, 10 a.m. in Japan. I think so. So time zones are very interesting. It's just really weird though. I don't know if there's an actual reason for daylight savings. But it is definitely interesting. Let's see here. Oh. Strawberry. Oh. Cherry. Supposedly it's for farmers, but apparently they also hate it. Yeah. It's not beneficial at all, actually. Never has been. Don't know why we have it if it was never beneficial to begin with. There has to have been some other reason then, if that's the case. If the whole purpose was to help farmers, then and it didn't actually help, then there had to have been some other reason to why it stayed that way. But I don't know. It's just really weird. But other than that, I guess I'm okay. I feel pretty good. It's probably because the sun going up and down to adjust to that, but that's just me guessing. I guess so. But then that's the real thing. Why is it that some countries do it and some don't? Because Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere are on opposite seasons. Beats me. Yeah, that's why it's so confusing. I don't understand it. It's not like there's an initiative to go, oh, well, time has been moved back or forward now, so I need to wake up later, or I can wake up later. Or is it earlier? It would be later if it goes forward, I think. get extra hour of daylight, I guess, to get work done. I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense to me. Pineapple, pineapple. I have too many of them, you're right. No. That's bad. I need to be able to clear one of them at least. Little by little, I guess. Yaばい。それはやばいメロン。めっちゃやばい。たくさんの果物ですね。So, there have been many different things that I've learned about like how Japanese works in terms of speaking. And a lot of times, apparently native speakers, when they're trying to give advice to people who are learning the language, is to not focus so much on, I guess, the grammar. Focus more on making yourself understandable, basically. Achieving that accent that native speakers would be able to understand. And I think for a lot of people, they wouldn't be able to hear it too well because it's more than just saying the words, right? It's also the nuance. It's the pauses in the sentences as well that actually helps that. Can often mistake you for a native, I think. Yes, especially when native speakers anywhere end up using slang for words too. Yeah, that's true too. Oh, now I have 3 pineapple. That's even worse. That's bad. Yeah, bye. Huh, melon. Melon. So, it's like, I guess it's when you go something like, I'm not very good at this. It's like, Melon, how would I do this? This game is kawaii da kedo, とても難しいですよね. I guess really not ですよね, but just ですね, I guess. Like, the game is cute, but it's difficult, isn't it? Or difficult, you know? It doesn't seem like it would be difficult. It seems very easy at first. But yeah. It also seems like the more that you learn, the more you realize that there's more to it as well. But that also means that you're growing when learning more. Apparently there are some times where you can learn and feel like you've learned a lot and feel like you are very confident one day, and then you can wake up the next day and feel like that you've forgotten everything, almost like a mood swinging away. And I'm not sure how that works. 1913 1913. But the more that I learn about this, the more that I also learn that some languages have like a centralized language or accent, and other languages don't have a centralized language, or rather centralized dialect. Yeah, dialect. Like, especially for Spanish, there's not like a centralized dialect. It's just that if you are from Argentina, you speak Argentinian Spanish. If you are from Spain, you speak Spanish. You speak vosotros. If you are from the US, you probably speak Mexican Spanish, stuff like that. So there's no real central Spanish, it seems. At least with English, I want to say that US English is kind of centralized. Maybe. Even though we do have Queen's English from Britain, Australian English, and American English as well, as the three major ones. But since a lot of other countries do learn English as a secondary, that becomes a different dialect as well. But there's still a common ground to where people can understand, even if you do go to a different country. The slang may be different, the terms may be different, but some of them will be the same. It's like there's a blueprint for all the versions of the language, but the execution is different. Right, exactly. And I think that's how dialect works anyway. Like when people say if you go to southern area, they speak differently. When you go to northern area, they speak differently. But there's still a basis somewhere, right? A basis that comes from somewhere, and then I guess as people talk, that becomes its own thing. Since written English or written language is different from speaking language, I like to think of written language as more standardized, because that's usually what you learn in school. When you learn English in school, Spanish in school, even like Japanese from textbooks, that's what they try to teach language learners, even though it's not actually how they speak. You have the southern twang, like, hey y'all. Kind of, sort of. Why, do you hear it? Has it come out? Did I do something wrong? Is it super noticeable? There are some words that, no, I'm just asking because I sometimes do. Oh, I see. There are some words that come out, yeah. I think one of the telling ones is the word on or hour, like O-U-R. When I don't think about it, it sounds really weird. Especially hour. I think I end up shortening the word to one syllable. But it does sound more like southern twang, I believe. But no, I don't really speak like this or anything like that, but I do have some sort of a southern-ish accent, I think. Accents are fun though. They're fun to listen to and fun to study. Just hit t instead of two. So yeah, I guess that's just my shorthand for speaking in a way. So I apologize for that. English can be really difficult to learn because of stuff like this though. Well, not necessarily because of the accent, but because of we have letters in words that we don't say. It's almost like French in a way. Or that we don't pronounce strongly. Any word that ends with a T, you don't really hear. I think that's called like a glottal stop. Or I guess, to make it even more natural, a glottal stop. Right? So if you are a Japanese speaker trying to learn English and you see the word and it ends with like a T, and then you listen, you don't hear it, and you're like, eh? Glow, right? And it's not really easy to teach someone that. Or I guess it is, but I don't know if it's easy to understand. At least with Japanese, Melon, you are taught, or you can tell, that there are some words or some mora or syllables where you pronounce them longer, or there's like a gap. Like if there's what's called, there's like an elongated symbol. I'm not sure what it's called actually, but it just looks like a dash. It basically looks like the kanji for one. Ichi. And that elongates the syllable of the word. I'm trying to think of a word. For some reason, I can't think of a word off the top of my head that does something like that. Unless you can help me out, Bob. You probably know as well. Let me think. Oh, I have one. There's the word for sibling, and there's the word for enormous. So you have kyodai, which is sibling, and then you have kyodai, which is enormous. Oh, my fault, I tuned out. It's okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. I should be more mindful of that. So knowing that difference will let you know that it's a different word entirely. And I think a lot of beginner learners will cut elongated syllables or mora. And you have to be mindful of that, I think. It's very late, Watermelon. Hello, this is Spook. On Melon, it is very late. I apologize. It doesn't help that the time changed as well from where I'm from, but I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry. I started at a weird time today. Hope you all are doing well. I'm doing pretty well. Otherwise, just talking about language stuff, because language is fun. 1672. 1672. I think. I'm really bad at numbers for some reason. I need to learn better. Oh. But yeah, it's very common to cut some of the syllables when you're learning, or you don't hear the difference. Like some people can't hear the difference between kyodai and kyodai, right? Especially if you see it written out, you probably wouldn't be able to tell at first. You would just hear it, right? I guess that's the best one I can think of. There. The only downside with that is that they all sound the same. Except for, I guess, there. Like, THEY''re may have like a slight nuance of there, right? But usually it sounds like there. And then 222, yeah, it's all context. It's all context, usually. But some people would say that some of them don't sound the same, and some people would say that they do. But they do sound the same to a native speaker, actually. That's why the words are called homophones, because they sound the same, but they mean different. There are words like that in Japanese. There's like sensha and sensha, which one of them is a tank and one of them is car wash. So I guess you could send a tank to a car wash. You have hashi and hashi. For chopsticks and bridge. Or even hachi and hachi. Hachi. For like the number 8 or a B. I guess for Japanese, kawaii and kawaii. Yeah. Well, with kawaii, kawaii, it's one less E. But yeah, usually most people, when they start, they would think that kawaii and kawaii are very close as well. The word for cute and the word for scary. I think I had trouble with that at the start, actually. But I also didn't know how to spell very well. So if you hear it quickly, you would probably think someone is saying like kawaii and they're saying kawaii, or vice versa, which can lead to a very different conversation, I guess. Oh. Melon wa kawaii janai. Kawaii janai? So, Melon. Arigato. At least I hope not. Or I hope so, rather. And that's what's interesting too, because I think you end up, when reading in textbooks, you end up learning like polite Japanese or like keigo. So I guess it would have been, like in a book, it would have been something like Melon wa kawaii dewa arimasen, or something like that. But usually in speech, people say janai instead, like ski janai instead of ski dewa arimasen. Meaning like not, or I don't like, rather. And people are more likely to say ski janai than to say kirai, or like, you know, oh yeah, kirai. Well, kirai, yeah, kirai. Kirai just means dislike. But I guess it's less common than like ski janai, which is don't like, right? It's a way to not be super direct as well, because in Japanese people would also go like, it's like, how do you like this shirt? And then you would respond with like, well, this shirt is kind of, just not go like, oh, I really don't like this. It'd be like, このシャツはちょっと, right? どっちがいい? Right? Yeah, one thing is learning the language and another is actually using it in real life. That is correct. That is important. That isn't taught very well. Or at least, if it was, people wouldn't struggle so much. There have been many people who desperately want to learn Japanese, so they study a lot and they take the like proficiency test. And they get what's called like the N1 certification. Like they pass the N1 test, which is supposed to be like, I guess, the highest of learning. But I think even native speakers more than likely wouldn't pass N1, which means that it's made specifically for language learners. But you can pass that and then go to Japan and listen to people and still not be able to speak it. So why is this? Because you spent so much time learning how to learn, or learning how to study, learning how to do the standardized tests, that you then learn that over that period of time that the language has already progressed in speaking. And so you don't really know how to properly respond. And I think that's one thing that schools don't really do very well. And this is why people usually say to get a tutor, like a native language tutor. Or I guess you could use, people say that you could use italki as well to help with that. Because there are many different people learning many different languages, and there are probably more people out there learning English and would love to get better at their English, Melon. So you could do what's called a language exchange. Like, you know, como se dice bucket, right? And stuff like that. Or like, この漢字の意味は何? Right? What is this kanji? What does this kanji mean? What is the meaning of this kanji? Kubeta. Kubeta. And of course that can change between which like Spanish country you're from as well. So and then I guess you would say something like, how would you use this in a sentence? How would you naturally use this in a sentence, right? Because that's the important part. It is actually smart to learn vocabulary, which I will say, yes, you can actually use Duolingo for this, because the misconception is that Duolingo will make you fluent. It won't. Duolingo's purpose is to teach vocabulary and recognition and repetition. So it's not going to teach you how to speak, but it is going to give you the vocabulary and how it is used in the sentence, but it's not going to teach you how to speak unless you end up using the mobile app and doing the thing where you have a conversation. But other than that, it's there to show you where the words go, how the grammar works, and stuff like that. Which is okay for me because I do like language arts and stuff like that. But if you really want to learn how to speak, what you have to do is what's called shadowing, which is take a video on the internet, which is probably the easiest way to do this. Take a video on the internet of a native speaker, listen to them, and then as soon as you hear it, copy it. Like, just talk over like what you hear. Because usually that's what your mind actively does anyway. As you're listening, it will do that. Sometimes you may even find yourself lip syncing on accident, even though you obviously can't tell what the person's actually going to say next, but your mind will follow that quickly. So what you do is you copy that and you say it out loud so that you can get the nuance of the language. That way it becomes more natural, so that when someone goes, Ohayo o genki desu ka? You can go, Ohayo genki desu. Anata wa? Without thinking about it. Of course, that's a simple one, but that's a start, right? My sleeper agent was awoken when you asked that in Spanish. Yeah, exactly, right? Como se dice, right? Learning how to say, how do you say, is very important. It may mistake you as fluent, but, you know, you may get, you know, Spangle Josed, but it's important, I think. 1657. 1657. Speaking of, I might try Duolingo again to learn more words in katakana. It's perfect for hiragana, katakana, and kanji. It's absolutely perfect for it. And over time, it does teach you like stroke order for kanji. Well, it teaches you stroke order in general. But stroke order is very important, and it helps you remember the kanji as well. It's just like when we were in school, learning to write a bunch of words. They would go, I guess it depends on where you're from, but at least when I was learning early on, they would go, write as many words as you can that rhyme with this word or whatever. And then later, of course, you get like words with vocabulary on it, and then they use them in sentences and you learn how to write them, and then you get a test later, I guess at the end of the week, maybe in elementary school. Some words you remember, some words you don't, and then you just keep learning more words and more words and more words and stuff like that, and you keep taking tests, and then you remember them. Then you learn how to use them in sentences, or they say make a sentence with this, and that helps you over time. And before you know it, after like 10 years or 12 years, without thinking about it, you can just put sentences together in your native language. And that's the approach that you have to take, I think, for learning a new language as well. You can learn as much as possible from Duolingo if you really want to, but utilizing the vocabulary is what's really going to help you shine. Like if you want to remember like nouns for certain, it's best to put them into context, or think more about expressions. An expression that I like to go to is taking a picture. There's only one real way that Japanese people say take a picture, and it's 写真を撮って or 写真を撮る. This is an expression put together. It's literally picture take. Picture and then like the o particle, and then 撮る to take, or 撮って 写真を撮って写真を撮ってください, right? And so you then know, once you hear that enough times, you also know that that particle is going to be part of that too. Or when you hear the expression 気をつけて, which is made up of 気をつけて. It's like three different parts technically, but it just means like be careful or take care. 気をつけてね, right? And yes, there are some expressions that you can learn from anime. I think learning expressions from anime is important. Just be careful with delinquency speak, I think, since people don't actually talk like that in real life. I'm gonna be the king of the pirates, or something like that. It's like, yeah. If someone says that to you on the street, you're probably gonna look at them kind of weird, and you'll probably walk away as fast as possible. So it's very important to learn expressions that people are actually saying. Like learning yabai is, you're more likely learning that from the internet or from people in real life than you are from like an app, because these are things that they actually say. Or like umai, right? Yeah, a lot of rude talking is in anime. Yeah, it's really funny how the language has so many different words for I or you, and stuff like that. You can really form a personality just from picking which like I you are. Watashi, atashi, boku, ore, and stuff like that. I'm not sure if there's an actual like neutral one, but yeah, there are certain ones that predominantly male or predominantly female presenters use. But that can also be shown in the way that the sentences are ended as well. Like a lot of people who are like very, very strong feminine, I'm not saying this properly, usually will end their sentences with like wa, or like desu wa, or something like that. Or like if you're closer to like, I guess maybe like a young boy who's like very energetic and raring to go, you probably end your sentences with zo, like いいぞ、かけてこいぞ, or something like that. Or いい感じだぞ, or something like that, right? So you can kind of tell in that case. Noticing that, recognizing that already puts you like a step forward, like with the understanding of it. So it's literally all about listening, immersing, not thinking about it from time to time, just repeating. Because your mind will do the work. You just don't think about it because you want to become fluent so badly. You want to be able to actually communicate. but it is a process. And repetition does help. But there are many different ways to learn as well. I used to learn things from listening, writing, like taking notes. Those tests did help at the time. But nowadays I feel I'm very reluctant to write on paper. I think I used to when I started learning Japanese, started learning the actual kanji like a few years ago. I did write them down on paper. But then when I learned that Duolingo had added like the writing for the kanji and stuff to where you could actually do the stroke order there, that made it a lot easier and more convenient for me. And it's always best to learn how to use the kanji in a sentence, because kanji pronunciation changes depending on where the kanji is in the sentence, or is when it's right beside another kanji. So it's better to immerse that way than to spend all day studying. This is the word for person. It's pronounced hito. Sometimes bito. And sometimes you will hear hitobito. And funnily enough, melon, the word for villager, if anyone knows about Animal Crossing or Doubutsu no Mori, the word for villager is literally made up of village person, which is murabito, which is actually villager's name in Smash Brothers. It's literally village person, villager. It actually translates. Murabito. Granted, usually if you go to a restaurant and they're asking, you know, how many people are there, they're going to ask, nannin desu ka? But it's the same kanji for hito. Nannin desu ka? How many people are there? To, you know, send you to the table and stuff like that. This is why kanji has many different pronunciations, because they represent a concept. You know, just from looking at or from learning hito or nin or jin, like Nihonjin, that also uses the kanji for hito. But at the end of the day, that kanji means person. So you now know in your head that even when you see it, even if you don't pronounce it properly, that it's going to stand for person. I think it's funny how Ankomi can't communicate. There's someone whose last name is Hito. Really? I should know about that. But I've never seen it. Wait, is it an anime as well, or is it only manga? Either way, I have never actually looked into it. So yeah, Japanese is difficult, and you feel like you are on your way to becoming better, but then you start listening to a lot of different people, and it's like, oh my, they're speaking so fast. By the time that I understood like the first two words, they're already done with the sentence and they moved on to like the third one. How am I supposed to learn this so easily? Because you have to learn the rhythm as well. You have to attune your mind first to knowing that the word ended and the next one began, and then trying to slow down what's actually being said and stuff like that. 1825 1825. It's an anime too, but only 2 seasons. Manga is 37 volumes finished. Oh, okay. So, Melon. I see. Naruhodo, Melon. But yeah. Once you get used to that, you start learning that, oh hey, this person's last name probably means this. Right? Because most traditional Japanese last names are usually related to nature, I think. So yeah, or you will notice that, or you will learn at least with differentiating between names that usually if a given name ends with ko, then it's probably a female name. Hachiko, Sakurako. Well, Sakura is already really a feminine name, to be honest, but like take a noun and add ko to it, like Mushiko, Murako, Aiko, and it's usually going to be a female name. They do a lot of jokes for names to show what the character is like in real, if I recall correctly. Oh, okay. That does seem interesting. 面白いもの。面白いね。Yeah, I will definitely take a look then. Like there's someone named Naruse who's a narcissist. Oh, I see. I feel like cartoons used to do that anyway, right? They used to do that for sure. And I guess as a native speaker, you're like, oh, that's so obvious. That's so on the nose. But if you're learning the language, you don't get it, right? Or like if you probably don't know about this because it's really old, but like if anyone knows, there's a lot of wordplay in what the Captain Underpants series, which did start as a comic, and a lot of the characters have pun names or names on wordplay and stuff like that, and you wouldn't get it at first, but that's what it's mostly about and stuff. It's really cool. But yeah, learning basic phrases. Learning phrases is the important part because then you will be able to form sentences later. Like I can say, watashi wa melon desu. Or I could just say melon desu. Or kori desu. Meloncollie desu. Right? Meloncollieflaur desu. Dozo yoroshiku. Right? I only remember reading like 3 volumes, but my brain 100% forgot all of what I read. So you've read 3 volumes, but you don't remember anything. I guess you have become Komi then, huh? Right? I get that though. But there has to be something that you remember, right? Like Naruse. No, I mean of Captain Underpants. Oh, fair enough. I get you. Okay. Now I understand. Yeah. That's true. Now I understand. Yeah. I don't know why my mind was still stuck on Komi, even though I just talked about Captain Underpants. That's really weird. I guess my brain lags about sometimes. I really do love talking about language. It's just a shame that I can't speak it. I am one of those people who would probably learn and take the test and do okay and then not be able to actually talk. But that's also because I do have a fascination with language. Melon. That's a fast melon. My mind is always on Komi. Recently bought a new volume. Really? Huh. That is interesting, actually. Oh. Yeah, I haven't read manga in a while. I have some that I bought like a very, very long time ago, sitting in my shelf, but I just haven't really read it in a while. I don't even know if I ever finished. I have like maybe 3 or 4. Then again, I also have the old Shonen Jump Old Shonen Jump magazines. Which is very interesting to think about now, because they are all dated as well. Like, you got like an issue from each month of the years and stuff. I would assume that Shonen Jump is still going. I don't actually know, but I do remember getting some when I was in school. In fact, I think how I first got introduced to Shonen Jump may have been through Book Fair, if anyone knows what Book Fair is. And ever since then, I think I did end up getting issues in the mail until I didn't, because, you know, it was a subscription thing. I tried reading Bleach and then got disappointed knowing that like 15 volumes amounted to like 5 episodes. So I was like, may as well watch instead. Oh, I thought it was the opposite, Bob. I thought it was more like you would probably find out more in the manga than the anime, since at least in English there were so many filler episodes and restarts. What's your oldest issue? I don't remember, actually. I have to look back. What I'll do is, if I can remember, I will tell you guys next time, because I don't remember. I do have them all though, that I have. It is, but they stopped shipping to the US as next to nobody buys physical copies of books anymore. That makes sense. I understand. But that is upsetting, because people, they were translating that stuff. You got exclusive stuff from those. In fact, like the spellings of the characters' names in like Dragon Ball Z were actually from the original. So imagine my surprise when I first heard, I don't know if you were 3 minutes behind actually, but do refresh. I may have dropped frames every so often, but I don't know if it was recent. So I apologize for that. Like, imagine my surprise when I first read, like, Krillin's name is Kuririn, or at the time when I couldn't really pronounce Japanese, Kuririn, or Son Goku. It's like, Son Goku? What do you mean Son Goku? And stuff like that. So that was the first time I had seen that. I did get lagged a bit, but I refreshed it and fixed it. Okay. But Shonen Jump still makes digital releases. Okay. So it's still, so they still make them in English. It's just that it's digital. Okay. Because that would be a waste of print. Otherwise, there's nothing like sadder than someone putting work into something to get translated only for people not to really get the stuff anymore. And I thought that people were actually enjoying physical media again, since everything has become digital now, and it's like hard to even find physical stuff, so it seems. But we as a Western society went mostly digital, while Japan still finds it more culturally acceptable to have printed media. Yeah, of course. So, Melon, do you watch One Piece, since you mentioned Luffy's catchphrase? Oh, King of the Pirates? I don't watch One Piece. I've watched a few episodes before, and I remember reading some of it in Shonen Jump. I even used to play, there was a demo disc, maybe Shonen Jump was the one that gave me this demo disc. There was like a demo disc, I think it was PlayStation or PlayStation 2, I don't remember. And it was like a fighting game, I think it was called like Grand Battle or something like that. But it was a demo, and I had fun playing it. But I never did get the actual full game, unfortunately. Okay. Plus, it's, from what I hear, it's kind of hard to finish One Piece, since it's very long and ongoing. Might as well be competing with Dragon Ball Z in that case. Even though I do know that, you know, the original creators and whatnot have gone on and whatnot. 1790. 1790. But I hear things every so often. I think that's how I was first introduced to Naruto as well. I was seeing the Shonen Jump manga stuff before they actually put Naruto on Adult Swim or whatever. Or just, on television. When you get caught up, it's not enough. Oh, yeah, that's with everything though, right? That's like, cause like people will binge like a show, or people are like, well, at least nowadays they're like, I don't wanna watch the next season yet until it's fully finished so that I can binge it. It's like, you could watch it episodically. Binging isn't healthy, but I understand wanting more. But no, watch it episodically. There's a reason why a lot of shows on television will show a bunch of reruns of a show and then show like the new episode on like a Wednesday or a Friday or whatever. Because it gets you hooked. It's like, oh, well, I can get caught up during the week because they're not going to show anything new, and then they'll show the new episode on like Wednesday or Friday or whatever, depending on the channel. Or Saturday or something like that. That's how it was for me with like My Little Pony though. Friendship is Magic. I think they would come out with a new episode every Saturday or so. And they would show reruns within the week. And so it would, get me excited to see the new episode on Saturday. And stuff like that. There aren't too many shows that have me do stuff like that anymore though. Unfortunately. But that's also because I watch stuff on like, YouTube. My media usually comes from YouTube or on the internet somewhere. Even though I can just tune in on television, because I do have like a smart television. I could just tune into whatever. But I mostly watch stuff that people like you and me create. There's something about that, But I definitely want to get better with language learning. I want to understand the actual secret to people just understanding really quickly. There are many videos out there that says, here's how I became fluent in 3 months, which is probably not true. But there has to be something. There has to be some kind of thing there. There's some sort of confidence there within the video or within that title that goes, I got fluent in 3 months, or I'm a polyglot and I know like 7 languages. Here's how I did it and stuff like that, right? No matter what, it still takes time and exposure. I think most of it legitimately is exposure. If you are in an English speaking country, you are surrounded by English. Melon. So not really watching series or movies. I definitely don't watch movies very often. I used to watch OVAs a lot. One of my favorite anime actually is Shin-chan, or Crayon Shin-chan. Because it's very wholesome. And they come out with a lot of different like crazy movies as well. They might as well be like Scooby-Doo, because I know, or Tom and Jerry, because Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry were coming out with a lot of movies because they didn't really do like episodes of series anymore, so they just came out with a bunch of movies. Shin-chan was doing that as well. Probably is still doing it, or they do a lot of promotional stuff or collaborations with other cartoons or other anime as well. So yeah, I don't really watch too many movies. Mostly because I know that they're long and it depends on if it's going to keep my attention. I do like movies. I just don't watch them very often. So a lot of people will go, Melon, you never watched this movie? You didn't see this? It's like, no, I don't really watch movies very much. we have to watch it. And I'm like, no. No. Because I usually know how that goes. Usually when people are passionate about a movie, they might do the thing where it's like, oh, here comes the best part. And it's like, but I haven't seen this movie yet. No Marvel superheroes? I've seen a few. I've seen Spider-Man, Iron Man. I think those are the main two, actually. I've seen those. But I mean, 2012 or 2011, I think, was the time where a lot of superhero movies were coming out, right? And we know the obvious reason for that. The world was ending. Right? So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. I think I did see all of the Iron Man movies, but the third one is the one that definitely resonated in my mind. Jarvis make a SUIKA. So I know of that meme, but who actually is Jarvis? Is Jarvis like... I know that we usually have like, you know, the whole mods ban that guy situation, but like, who actually is Jarvis? Oh, びっくりした。Like, who are you? Jarvis is the AI in the suit that becomes Vision in the MCU. Oh, okay. But yeah, it's the AI he talks to in the suit. Okay. Because it felt like it became an internet meme. So I was thinking that it was relating more to like the whole like mods ban that guy situation. Or, you know, Jarvis don't clip that or whatever. Or something like that. Okay. Gotcha. And I will remember that, I'm pretty sure. Also, guys, it feels very nice to be able to... I don't know if you guys have ever had like a childhood game that was in a different language, like Japanese. But there's something nice about going back to a game like that and being able to read something. There was a game that I had played a long time ago that I thought was in Chinese because there's like a lot of kanji. I went back later, found out what the game was, and I took a look at like a video and I was like, oh, that's actually Japanese. And I was like able to read. Well, I was able to read, not necessarily understand, but I was able to read what was on screen at least. And that was a nice feeling, actually. Kimochi. I had DKC2 on Game Boy in Japanese and had no idea what Wrinkly Kong said. You had that in Japanese? That's interesting. I did have the Game Boy DKC. I think it was the first game only though. But that might have been one of those games that either got stolen from me in school or one that I sold to, you know, video game store that doesn't pay enough. Yeah, I still have the copy in my drawer. Ooh, nice. I kind of like it because I've been doing this recently. I kind of like it when people start streaming their childhood games and stuff. Especially if they still have the hardware for it. So if you have like Game Boy games and you have like the Game Boy player on the GameCube, and then maybe you have a capture or something like that, or a splitter and stuff like that. It's very nice and cozy to watch. And it's also a nice break from a lot of new stuff too. 1945. I will do one more. I can go over. It's okay. I know I started late, but I can go over a little bit. 1945. 1900 945. Yeah, I still have a copy of some like Game Boy or Game Boy Advance games, some DS games, Game Boy Color games, and stuff like that. Super Nintendo games, NES games, like it's just a bunch of older stuff. Luckily, we do have like Nintendo Switch Online for some of that stuff, but there are some games that will probably never get released again, probably because of copyright as well. To be able to show this, I might need the Superboy for the Super Nintendo. Easy for me to get instead of spending like 600 for the GameCube and disc. Actually, yeah, if it's, well, okay, so yeah. Oh, we can talk about that. Yeah, apparently it costs more to get the GameCube disc, the Game Boy Player disc, than just the actual physical add-on itself. I don't know why the disc is made of gold, or why people see it as made of gold. It's really weird. But also, Bob, the Super Game Boy, I believe, only plays Game Boy games. Like, it doesn't even play Game Boy Color games. That's where the Game Boy Player shines, because it can play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. And even though Japan did come out with the Super Game Boy 2, it came out too early, so it doesn't play Game Boy Color games, unfortunately. There is something neat about having the Super Game Boy though, since it does have like banners and stuff, or like the background stuff. Oh, this cartridge doesn't say color, so I think it's OG Game Boy. Okay, so yeah, that's fine then. That's the only downside, I think, to that. But I think that the Super Game Boy did a better job with like the banners and borders and stuff than the Game Boy Player. But even with games like, I want to say Pokemon Gold and Silver, if I recall correctly, they are Game Boy Color games, but they can be played on a Game Boy, I think, right? And if they can be played on a Game Boy, then that means that they can be used on the Super Game Boy. It's just that the color is going to be weird and different compared to what you're actually used to from like Crystal, or playing it on your actual Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. I also have Frogger on Game Boy. You have Frogger? The only time I ever had Frogger, I think, was on computer way back in the day. I had like Frogger and 3D Pac-Man, where he could actually jump. That was kind of fun, actually. I haven't played that in a long time. But yeah, there were some games, some Game Boy games that I had, or Game Boy Advance games that I had, that were ports. Like I had Donkey Kong Country GBA. But like I said, I think that one got stolen. Of course, you had the Super Mario Advance series, which was handheld ports of, you know, Mario All-Stars. And of course, you had Super Mario Deluxe, which was Mario 1 and Lost Levels together for Game Boy Color. I thought that was a really neat idea that they did to like make those portable, since they were great selling games to begin with. I also had some GBA games stolen. Oh, you too, huh? Yeah. In my OG Game Boy Advance SP? Oh. I think I'm pretty sure my Leaf Green got stolen. Leaf Green and a Ruby. I think they both got stolen. But yeah, that was a time where I had just about every Pokemon game. Or at least I had, like, relatives who also had Pokemon games too. Yeah. But I guess the upside is, well, we can play those games again now as adults. I just don't recommend buying North American Pokemon games. Unless you know of a place that isn't going to actually, like, act as a scalper, you know? Now, getting Japanese Pokemon games is a different story. So if you're learning Japanese, you could definitely grab Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. Maybe even Gen 4. I'm pretty sure green is very cheap to get. Like OG green. From Japan. If you want to do that. And, like, the people in the towns do have a dialect. So, it's not going to be your standard, you know, textbook Japanese most of the time. But Pokemon has always been localized anyway, even in English. Like, what is smell ya later, right? Who says that? I guess it was a 90s thing, but like, you're not gonna learn that in a textbook. Smell you later. So, it's just very interesting. There are many different ways to learn language, and it's best to get immersed. If you're seeing the words all the time, then it helps. It's kind of hard to forget you see it everywhere or hear it everywhere. It's like a song that you, like, get stuck in your head and can't get out. Apparently in X and Y they say he doesn't stop saying that despite being in Kalos. Who? Oh, did the message get cut? Did you say something? You may have said something that YouTube didn't like, and I'm not sure what it was. Which does happen sometimes. Unfortunately. Who's saying smell you later? Oh. That's really weird. Well, I guess it's not. If it becomes your catchphrase, I guess it doesn't matter where you're from, huh? Right? It's like the one, like, Rocket guy who says bye bye a go-go, right? He makes a cameo as well. I forget which game, but he also makes a cameo. It might be, I think it's Gen 5. It might be Black and White. Or Black and White too. Apparently learned bonjour, but when he leaves, he always says that. Yeah, he learned bonjour in Gen 1. I think it was after going to the captain, right? On the SSN. Yeah, bonjour. He says that in Japanese as well. It's spelled out as bonjour as well. Interestingly enough. So that's really cool. Okay, I'll do one more. Conversation is fun. Sorry to keep you guys for so long. At such a late hour. That's what happens though when I'm engaged in conversation. But yeah, I guess the hardest part of playing Pokemon in a different language is the moves. But I guess you just approach that the way that you would approach Pokemon from the start. When you first played Pokemon, you didn't know what anything was, but at the same time, at least you could be able to read it, or you would be able to read it, even if you didn't know what the move actually did. But in this case, you're completely blind, right? So you will learn over time what items you have and what they do. And you will memorize those items, and some items you won't use because you don't know what they do. And you will get used to that. You will learn what the fishing rod is. You will learn what a potion is. A Pokeball. You will learn the HMs or what moves you can use on the land, like on the overworld map and stuff like that. Extended cut of Watermelon Wednesday, just a little bit. I think there was one or two times where I did do this for like 2 hours. But I think that was in the earlier times because I was very addicted to this. It's just that it now has become a weekly thing. I wanted to make sure not to miss this because I was debating. That's why it's so late, because I was like, oh, it's Wednesday and it's late and I really need to do this. I really don't want to skip a week, you know, considering it's like Melon already doesn't stream very often, right? Don't want to skip the one thing that is done every week. That would be really bad, you know? Plus I enjoy it. It's a nice thing. It's really fun to do. And it's fun to talk to people while I do it. And learn of different like things and stuff. Or share what's going on, or share like my take on whatever interests me and stuff like that. But yeah, if anyone was ever trying to like learn Japanese or whatever language exists for Pokemon that isn't just English, because nowadays on Switch or 3DS you can just choose the language. You don't have to get the actual like copy. So if you really wanted to on Switch, you could just make a different, well, not make a different file, but make a different profile, I guess, and put that in a different language. And go from there. It's just that Japanese, Korean, Russian, any language with a different writing system is going to be different, or is going to be difficult to learn from the start, or difficult to read from the start, because it's already a different language. Like, at least with English, even if you don't know a word, you can at least figure out how to pronounce it. Like, you can, what we would say, you could sound it out, right? You could use what was called phonics. I don't know if people say phonics anymore, but that was the way to learn how to sound out the word. Even if you've never seen it before, you get a basic understanding of how to sound it out. Unless it was super foreign, like rendezvous. Speaking of, I watched Encanto in Japanese and it was definitely a treat. Maybe I should do it again with another movie. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. Watch a familiar movie in a different language. Listen out for common phrases that you may have heard before. And more than likely, it will stick in your mind a lot more as well. So even if you were like thrown to Japan literally tomorrow, or you woke up in Japan, someone like you went to sleep, right? You went to sleep and then suddenly you woke up in Japan. You don't know how you got there, but you woke up in Japan and there's like a sticky note like on your shirt or something that says, hey, you're in Japan, good luck. If that happens, I'm sure there's something that you would latch on to that would help you go, huh, well, I'm here now. I have no idea how to actually talk to people. I don't even know what the first thing I need to do would be. I don't even know where I am. What do I do? どうしよう, right? And I guess the first thing you would probably do is go like, すみません。日本語わかりません。or 日本語話せません。英語が話せますか? Or something like that. And then if you understand what they say, then I guess you can move on from there. So a bunch of kids aren't being taught how to even sound out a word. I was late for some reason again, darn. Darn, it may have actually been my internet legitimately, and I do apologize for that. Melon. Yeah. For some reason, like, reading has become a lost art now as well. I'm noticing that, yeah. I think there were times where teachers just basically crashed out and quit because the children refused to learn how to read. Or that the children have had, or no longer children, I guess. Well, I guess technically a teenager is still a child. Like high schooler. High schoolers reading with a 3rd grade reading level or 5th grade reading level. Which is really upsetting. So yeah, that is a thing. That's unfortunate. And that's also unfortunate. So the only thing we can do now is, hey, let's think about it. What is it that people are using nowadays a lot? People say that that people are doom scrolling a lot, right? So if people are doom scrolling a lot, then let's fill some of that stuff with learning actual things, not just like meme brain rot stuff or fake stuff, but like you can still make it interesting. And I think that's another reason why people also use Duolingo too. It's not just that, you know, I do it because it's convenient. You can just pick it up. It probably has less ads than other, like, you could actually learn a thing or two from Duolingo even with ads compared to other stuff that wants you to actually sign up for a subscription. But yeah, learning how to read. I struggle with reading Japanese. After like 1 or 2 words, my mind cuts things for some reason. I still have to familiarize myself with seeing the word in full and just being able to read it. That's gonna take time though. That's gonna take years because, like I said, Japanese is different from English. I can look at a word, I can take a glance at a word in English and still know what it says. But in Japanese, I'm steadily trying to read each and every letter until it becomes like familiar, like words like kokoro or like arigatou gozaimasu or yoroshiku and stuff like that. Or like kono game or kochira wa and stuff like that. Words like that. Or like the kanji, or kanji is important, like bullshit or like hat. That's where kanji is actually very important. The more kanji you know, the shorter you can make a sentence as well. If everything is fully in hiragana katakana, the sentence is super long and tires out the eyes as well. It's very interesting. I feel like I learn more with ads because no ads allow you to make mistakes endlessly. No incentives. No ads allows you to make mistakes endlessly. Oh, that's true. That's true. You're right. You don't want to make the mistake because you don't want to have to see the ad. So you focus more. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It can be a slow process, but if it does help you, I don't see anything wrong with that. 1845. 1845. Keep going. Might as well make it to the next hour. Well, I say next hour. I did start on the 30-minute mark, but you know. Yeah, think about incentives. Think about what would help you. Think about, what do I need to know to survive here? I am a foreigner here. I don't know much. What is going to happen? How can I communicate? What do I do? And then, best case scenario, you're just walking the streets, you're roaming the streets, or like the subway, and or you just go to a bar, I guess, or wherever, and somehow someone sees you and they try to strike up a conversation with you, and you just do not know how to communicate. You're just very scared. But you're at a bar where people are usually more loosened up and stuff. But you just so happen to find someone who does, like, have a good understanding on English. And so then you end up talking with them and you make friends with them. And then they basically become your buddy, I guess. Or like your pen pal in a way. Or your foreign exchange family in a way. すみません。すみません。私のママはどこ？私のママはどこ？ I'm so sorry. Where is my mom? It's like, huh? ママ？すみませんだもん。あなたは？ You know? And stuff like that. That would be kind of weird to like wake up in a different country and go, I'm sorry, where is my mother? It's like, huh? What? Huh? Nani? So yeah. It's definitely important to know what to say. Remember, there are two things that are very important to learn in a different language. Excuse me and where's the bathroom? Right? Those are the two most important phrases to learn. That and I'm sorry, I can't speak this language. 3 very important sentences no matter where you go. And then you just build off of that. You build off of what do I need to survive? You're now stuck in a conversation with 3 different people, but they all speak Japanese and you speak English. And their understanding of English is as minuscule or small as your understanding of Japanese. How do you communicate? I guess most people would say by memes. Because some memes are universal. You build off of where's the toilet. Yeah, you build off of where's the toilet, and then suddenly you become someone who is obsessed with toilets. And then people will mistake you for a plumber, I guess. Then they go, ah, Super Mario da! I guess. I don't even know the word for plumber in Japanese. I don't know the word for plumber in any language other than English, actually. It's probably super simple, though. I don't think it would be like Koire Jindo. That would be too easy. But that would be the approach to go to. It's like, your job is usually like, job person. Like, I think the word for doctor is isha. And the word for dentist is haisha, which is tooth doctor. So, that's simple enough. You'd be surprised at how simple Japanese actually is. It's just that it feels very fast. But then again, I guess if you are a Spanish speaker, then speed isn't really the issue, is it? English has a lot of short words. But I think Japanese and Spanish have a lot of longer words. Like words with more syllables. At least 4 or 5 syllables. Of course, correct me if I'm wrong. English is the only language that I am actually fluent in, so I can only go off of what I know. But yeah, everyone starts somewhere. 何が好き? チョコミントよりもあなた Yeah. See, yeah, that's like a fantastic meme to even start with. Yeah. Or, you know, Apple Pen, I guess. Apple Pen is very universal as well. It's an older one, but it's universal, so at this point in time anyway. And pineapple Apple Pen. Yeah. Exactly. The world runs on memes. Because memes are viral. Melon. Oh. As long as they're not like mean-spirited, obviously. As an adult, you have the power to differentiate between mean-spirited memes and wholesome memes. Interesting that that didn't work. The new Japanese meme I've seen is mochi pounding. Mochi pounding? Really? Like that's a new meme? I thought mochi pounding was always like a thing. But it's just become like a meme now? I should look that up, I guess. Because like I said, I'm positive that there are some people in Japan who desperately want to improve their English as much as possible and don't get an opportunity to do so because English just isn't used very often in Japan. Now, granted, they have a lot of like loan words that they use, or cognados, I guess Spanish people would say. Cognates. But it's still used in a Japanese context, so it's not the same in that regard. Even though like hotel is hoteru, and milk tea is milk tea. But since that is the case, they're still going to be thinking in Japanese because that's how they would actually say it in Japanese as well. But that's why I kind of wonder how teachers actually teach language over in different countries. How do people actually teach English in different countries? How do people actually teach? Because like it has to be different from textbooks as well, even though some people probably use the textbooks. But then the question is, what English textbooks do they use? Because these are probably books that native English speakers have never heard of or seen. And I think that is how you get what you get with Japanese as well. Like the only real reason why Japanese like natives would know anything about like the Genki books or Minna no Nihongo or stuff like that is probably because of the internet, or because foreign exchange or just teachers are teaching from that book. Because I don't know of any overseas English books that people use to teach English as a native English speaker. So I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe I should look that up as well. Because as someone who loves language, I probably could put things more in perspective if I know enough. Oh, Bob, so that's another thing too, if you're still here. You can, if you are using Duolingo, you can also try, if you really want to test yourself. I'm here. What you can do also is try doing English from the Japanese side. And see how much you know Japanese at least. And even if you don't, what you can do is if you answer the English questions, then read the text at the bottom. It should show you how a native speaker would say or would translate that sentence. Because obviously we don't want to actively translate in our mind when we're speaking or trying to speak, because we won't have enough time. The conversation would take forever. 1970. 1970. One more. One more. Sorry. I guess I'm just very, very engaged today. It helps out, and you may even learn some kanji that you had never actually seen before, or some words that you never see in kanji. Unomasu, unomasu, mou ichido. Granted, once you go to the English side, that means you're going to be hearing English, and as you would know, the English, like, voices aren't the greatest. Or, you know, the way that it handles it anyway. Which the same could be said about other languages to native speakers as well. But just brace for that, I guess. Or don't do any of the listening exercises, I guess. And just, like, you know, do either or. But it should show you a sentence at the bottom in Japanese of how they would interpret the sentence. And I can only assume that that would be more of a natural sentence for them. Other than saying things like, or starting sentences a lot with, like, anata no, or like watashi wa. But that's to teach you grammar still. So, like, you know, like you would say, sumimasen, それはあなたのペンですか? Like, is that your pen? Right? Or something like that. But it helps. I think perspective change does help with that too. Because you're going to get to a point on Duolingo where you're learning so much vocabulary that doesn't resonate with you, that each sentence is going to be filled with words that you're just checking all the time. Like, every single word in the sentence is going to be confusing to you at that point. But then again, I guess that's the point of writing that stuff down and trying to figure out how to actually use that properly, even if you're probably not going to say it. But I guess for me, sentence flow, like speaking with a sentence of a good flow, is very difficult for me because I'm still actively thinking. That's why it's important to learn the phrases. Like when you went nani ga suki, like I went into like meme mode because it is a meme, right? And I remember chocomin to yorimo anatta. But I wouldn't remember that had that not been a thing, right? That's how that works. So if learning language through memery becomes a thing and it helps, then so be it. Remember, some people learn how to speak English through playing Call of Duty somehow. Or just watching like English television shows. So the same can be said with Japanese, watching shows or playing like RPGs and getting through it and stuff like that. In another universe, you'd go, give me a sec. Exactly. Yeah. ちょっと待って、right? Or how do I say that? That's how that works. There's something very interesting though, or intriguing about like watching like a Japanese or Korean speaker maybe, or like an Asian speaker, like trying to think about, because you can hear them trying to translate what they want to say from Japanese to English. And since the sentences are usually reversed, right? They had to start with like the verb being like maybe the second word, because in Japanese the verb is like the last word. So that means they actively have to think about that verb, and then like the the subject that they're talking about. Because usually in Japanese, it's topic, subject, like topic, place, subject, verb, or something like that. And usually you would omit like watashi wa because it's like omitting yo in yosoi. But you don't really do in English. You still say I'm going to go. You don't just say gonna go. I mean, you could probably like look at someone and go, hey, gonna go to the store and be right back. It's not, you know, if you wrote that on paper, it wouldn't be complete really. But in this case, it's understood. But it would be like, I guess it would be something like, what would it be? I guess it would be, 店で牛乳を買います。牛乳を買いました。今日は店で牛乳を買いました。Or something like that. Today I went to the store to buy milk or something like that. But I had to actively think about that, right? But we want that to become natural. But being able to make sentences in your head like that is a good start. Because that's not very easy to do. Being able to substitute the words. Okay. But I would say start with like short phrases like 水を飲む, which is like drink to drink water. Or like I said, 写真を撮って to take a picture. A big leap from learning. Yeah. Because more than likely a Japanese speaker trying to speak English, they are going to skip over articles, you know, like a and the. Much like how we would skip over particles, like wo and that and ni. We would just like go, toire, doko? Bathroom where, right? I guess if you say it with sincerity though, it kind of works, you know. Toire doko, right? Or toire doko ka? Right? すみません、トイレどこか? But it's not like you're going to walk up to someone and go, excuse me, I am looking for the bathroom. Could you please tell me where the bathroom is? Like, you're not going to go that in depth. You really need to go, toire doko? Excuse me, toilet where, please? I gotta go. So yeah, that's usually how communication works. Unless you're delivering like a speech or something. Or unless you're trying to be like a shopkeeper or someone working at a store, which good luck on that, I guess, because that's going to be really different. Toire onegaishimasu. Yeah. Okay. This is the last one, I promise. Okay? I promise. You have my word as Melon. You have my word as the Cali themselves. Cali? Kali. Sorry. Today's a weird day. I apologize. Sumimasen. Sumimasen, Melon. Melon cauliflower. Cauliflower, yeah. The flower from California. Not really, but yeah. I've actually never been to California. But yeah. That would be a funny, like, play on words though. California. New nationality unlocked. No. Is there such thing as California being a nationality? Is that a thing? Like, a country, sure, but a state? I guess. I never really thought about that. I guess it's anywhere you reside, right? I guess that is how that works. Like how Canadian is a nationality, but not a race, right? But that's also a country and not like the state within, right? I don't know. Like if you're from Baltimore, I guess you would be called a Baltimorite? Baltimite? I don't know. Because if you're from Philadelphia, you're called like a Philadelphian. Right? I don't know most of these though. Like I don't know what you would be called if you're from Kansas. I don't know what you would be called if you're from Montana. Stuff like that, right? Some of them work, some of them don't. You have to figure it out somehow. Like, and don't even try with Massachusetts, I guess. At least Mississippi works. Like Mississippian. That kind of works. But Hannah Montanian. Yeah. Hannah Montanian. Henan. Yeah. Yeah. Language is funny. Why use many words when few words do trick? Right? But if you want to be taken seriously, then decent amount of word do trick, I guess. It's all about being understood. So even if you speak like the prim and most proper of English, if you're not understood, it doesn't matter. Like Shakespearean English. It's like, oh, you studied Shakespearean English. I don't understand you. I just understand that it's Shakespearean or old. True, yeah. I can tell that you are a playwright. I can tell that you admire Shakespeare's writing. However, I do not understand you. You must forgive me for that. That is how language works though. But that's why it's fun. In a way, language is art. I would say that language is art. Being like the act of communicating with people in different ways is considered art. Because you are forming a thing to create a thing. Old English is weird. Why was where back then? Why was where back then? Old English is weird. Or was weird. Things change over time. That's the thing. Yo, that's the funny part because a lot of words in English aren't really safe. You can say many different like common phrases or words and they apparently end up turning into innuendos. Like in Romeo and Juliet, she says, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" But it's more like, "Why are you, Romeo?" Oh, it's... Wait, I thought it was like, "Where are you?" I didn't know that. Huh. You know more than I do when it comes to, Old English then. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? Why are you Romeo? Why aren't you Julio instead? Be my Julio to me, Juliet. Julio and Juliet, I don't know. But then again, I guess that would make it seem like that they were siblings, which is yeah, but you know, I don't know. It's crazy. See, you can't just come up with something like that on the fly in a different language, right? You have to have a good understanding on what's going on. Melon. Being able to bounce off of people's like words like that. So the reason for the wherefore art thou is more like, why were you Why were you, Romeo, since their family had beef with each other? Right. Yeah, the conflicts between the families and stuff like that. Which goes to show that it doesn't matter if like you're in close proximity to someone else. Things don't have to be like a race thing or a gender thing. It could literally just be person from house A across from person house B feud with each other and don't like each other. And they're that close to each other. Or even siblings in the home, right? Sibling rivalry where people like siblings have animosity towards each other. Just goes to show that if you are different, there's going to be some sort of like conflict, right? The Capulets and whatever the other were called, Montagues, I think Montagues and Capulets, I guess they're called. Capsule. Melon has feud with the Melon next door. Nah, it's the pears. No, I'm kidding. I don't feud with anyone. At least I hope not. I don't want to. I'd rather not. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to make friends, not enemies. The pears! No, don't add that to the lore. I do not feud with the pears. Paris Bueller. Okay, that's enough puns for today. I think I'm cooked for the day. I do like wordplay though. It's very fun. Can be very confusing. As confusing as pop culture references, but it is very fun. But yeah, I hope today has been a good day. I hope today has been an entertaining stream. I hope I can always be in a nice chatty mood like this. Okay, that was the last one for sure. I know you could go, but Melon, you could go for another 7 minutes and make it 2 hours. But I did say that this would be my last one. I said you have my word. It has Callie instead of Kali for some reason. Today was definitely fun, especially near the end. I appreciate that. Arigato, Melon. 1410. Send 400. I think it's 400. 410, I think. But 見てくれてありがとう。聞いてくれてありがとう。Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you really enjoyed. Stay tuned for more of my streams and stuff. Make sure you hit the bell to know when I go live, because my times change all the time. Always stay tuned for Watermelon Wednesday. I plan to go back to playing Super Paper Mario because I want to go and do the pit again, do flopside and stuff, and the samurai stuff as well, because I love the samurai fights. Super Paper Mario is really big on like the extra content stuff, which is probably why there's so much padding as well, but it's still a fun game with a fantastic story. Oh, you are still here. I will learn to say your name properly at some point. I need to learn that. In fact, I need to learn that now, because I don't like being able to I don't like seeing your name and not being able to pronounce it. I need to learn this right now. How do I say? Is it just Mo? Is it really just Mo? There's no way. Which is really funny because apparently when translated it's Wan Meng Long. Which is kind of funny because like dogs say wan in Japanese, but you know. Wait. Maybe I'm translating from... No, it's the same there too. Yeah, no, that's... I'll just call you Mo, I guess? Huh. But, yes, thank you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. So I'm Melon Cauliflower, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye. Oats Melon.